for Amazon affiliate niche sites. We're going live on YouTube. Also, I'm going to try and do 2 at the same time and see what happens. See if there are more people on one side or the other. But yes, this is outreach tips for authority and niche sites. And basically, I'm just going to go through a couple things off the top of my head here. I'm not sure which camera to look at, so I'm just going to look at both from time to time. I may end up focusing on the Facebook side, but I will watch both. If you are joining up, I see a couple people on YouTube right now. If you're joining up, please let me know where you're from. Just type it in. I see Ashad there. Appreciate it. And it looks like the Facebook side is dying, so I'm just going to focus over here on YouTube. So if you could hear me, which I think you can, go ahead and give me like a thumbs up or say, hey, I could hear you, something like that. But as you know, we're going to be going over some outreach tips here. So Assad, appreciate it. Excellent. So, and someone suggested this the other day, so that's why I'm going over it. If you don't know who I am, I'm Doug Cunnington. I'm the founder of Niche Site Project. I have some Amazon affiliate sites, and I spend time doing affiliate marketing. So that's how that's how and why I'm telling you this right now. Okay, so previously I used to do basically gray hat link building. I would use private blog networks or PBNs. I would use Web 2.0's, services like the Hoth, and there's some others that do similar things. And basically, I was able to rank sites really fast using those techniques. That was a couple years ago. Those techniques still work well, but there is basically more of a risk if you use those techniques. And Assad, you're from India, and I do see there's a few other people, by the way, so feel free to let me know where you're from. If you have questions, shout them out. I'm taking a look at the chat and stuff. So basically I would use these like gray hat techniques, and it was a little stressful after I had a few sites penalized. That's no fun. That's no fun at all. So basically, I came around to do white hat outreach. And really quick, I'm going to see if I can maybe retry on the Facebook side here. But if it keeps crashing, then I just won't worry about it. But I'm just going to check and see. So thanks for your patience. I see a few extra people are here. Let me know where you're from for sure. Glad you could make it and watch me today. So we're going to go over outreach tips. And I wonder if it's actually like some sort of streaming issue. So thanks for your patience over there. Basically, YouTube is working over here. Facebook is not. I'm going over outreach tips if you're just joining on Facebook, but we'll see if that works over there. So I used to do this gray hat stuff, and it worked well. It still works well. I have a lot of good friends that use PBNs, in fact, and it works fine. There is more risk with it though, and even if you cover your footprints and you're using the best techniques, there's a little bit more risk. Now, some people will say that there are risks to do white hat outreach. Yeah, sure, there's definitely risk doing that. Any kind of like business venture has risk. So I will, I'll concede to that for sure. And basically, the thing that I'm trying to remember now with outreach is I don't want to use the same template over and over again. And I'll explain. So I'm sort of in a different spot than a lot of people. So the way that I am, getting guest posts nowadays, it's a lot more high touch. I'll build a relationship with people, with bloggers that I may be able to guest post with later, and that ends up working out better. Part of the reason is that it's harder for competition to copy those links. If I have a relationship with a blogger and I've built that over time through, commenting on their blog, sending them emails, and being a generally nice person, then it's a lot harder for someone to recreate it. Now, one of the reasons why I'm sort of frowning upon templates right now is I have a few sites myself. I get emails all the time from people who are trying to ask me if if I'll let them guest post on my site. And there's a couple things that are weird. Hey David, what's up? Thanks for joining. And I see a couple people on the Facebook side. It looks like it's actually working over there, so that's kind of cool. Thanks for joining. And if you could hear me on Facebook, it's hard to, it crashed earlier, but if you could hear me on Facebook, give me a thumbs up. Feel free to ask questions. And I'll come to the questions once I finish my rant here. But so anyway, I'm getting these emails, and they are either exactly the templates that I have, published in the past, or they're templates from someone like Brian Dean, but I'm getting my own templates back from other people. And the problem is they're not even like customized, right? So they're just straight up templates that I've used and distributed, and people are sending them to me. The problem is now there's a lot of people sending them, so these generic templates, which worked fine like 2 years ago, you're going to have to change them a little bit. So that's one of the big tips. If you see a template, that's great. You do need to customize it for your own usage, though. Really important to customize it for your own usage. And I see Key Chow, one of my buddies over there on Facebook, says, yes, he has some sites and he gets these emails too. I mean, it's kind of funny. I even get them for Niche Site Project too, which is my internet marketing blog. And people are trying to get me to, post links to their niche sites. And I'm not sure how they're doing their prospecting, but they're not doing a good job. And they're just sort of blasting the internet with a bunch of emails. And that used to work, by the way, a couple years ago, but it's not a couple years ago anymore. And if you want to be on the front end of the change, I suggest you start building the relationships, spend more time building the relationships. I teach a course called 5-Figure Niche Site, and there's Unit 6 is all about this concept of building the relationship and using outreach. And I just did a test over the last few months for Project Go White Hat, and essentially I got a lot of guest posts in a fairly short amount of time, and it was all through like building the relationship further. So it wasn't one comment and then ask for the guest post. It was like 3 comments and then 3 emails, and then you ask for the guest post. The conversion rate is insane if you do that. Sure, it takes longer, but all that work is on the front end, and then once we started getting accepted for these guest posts, everything happened really fast. So I do see some questions that came through. So if you have more questions, let me know, or if you like something that I said, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, you could also comment and say, hey, I don't like what you just said. So let me see if I can get to the chat here. Oh, all right. Lots of questions here. All right. So Ilya says, what do I think about the new Google update in regards to guest post? Hey, Ilya, I don't even know what new update. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic there. I don't even know what new update that is. Sean from Tahoe, thanks for letting me know where you're from. Really awesome. And then Bose John asked, do I mean that Web 2.0 properties don't work anymore? No, I don't mean that at all. I haven't used them in a while, but I don't use them now. I think the only way Web 2.0 properties are going to help you out is if you use a premium service like the Hoth that actually powers them up. Again, I don't use them, but I know that they still work well. John says he's from San Antonio. Awesome. Welcome, John. Thanks for joining. And I see my buddy Matt Allen over on the Facebook side. Yeah, my mom made the quilt. Thanks. Appreciate it. I let her know that people comment on it. And okay, and I see Bus John is from Toronto. Cool. Ilya, you're in New Orleans. I didn't realize that. I'm in Bozeman, Montana, by the way. And let's see, going through here. John asked about the scholarship. I think scholarship method can work okay. I've tested it out and it seems fine. I tested it out on a site that was making like enough money to easily cover the cost. So I don't know if I would look at it as a good solution if you're just starting out, by the way. Um, the other thing is it's sort of being abused right now. I think it's Gary Vee that often says like marketers ruin everything. So yeah, I mean, I think the scholarship stuff worked really well like years ago. It was one of the first techniques I ever heard of, by the way. And then I guess in the last year, some people started doing it, and it worked well. Let's see. And I am going through, and then Asyan says, what about Google's article on guest post? And I'm not sure, folks, if there's a new thing on guest posting. I don't know if that came out today. I'm a little behind. Behind the ball. David says you just arrived, and to recap, hey, you know what, David? I'll tell you I'll recap at the end, but I encourage you to. This will be live, right, on YouTube, or it'll be published on YouTube, so feel free to rewind it. But I'll recap at the end. And Boss Jones says you buy old Web 2.0s. Cool. I know some people that do that. I'm not sure if that's like for me. I don't think it's worth my time, but I'm just really. I'm not sure how powerful those are. I'd rather just work on getting the guest posts. And then Asyad says, bro, don't you think after Google's article that it's risky to build links on guest post? Not really. It seems to work okay, but I'm not sure if you're referring to some other article. And then Asyad said, what's my conversion rate for guest post? It depends. It's somewhere between like 5 and 40%, depending on the campaign. And then David says, yeah, I forgot. Sorry. No worries, David. It's I'll definitely summarize. I just wanted to make sure I got to the questions since we actually have a decent number of people. All right. And I see, okay, so I will mention also, if you're watching the replay on this, I forgot to tell you this. If you're watching the replay, you can ask questions there too. I'll come back later, although I'm starting the weekend in a few minutes, so whenever I finish, I probably won't answer for a couple days, but when I get a few minutes, I will have a look. So, Pritam, welcome. And this is on the Facebook side, so I'll come back over to YouTube in a second. So, most of the time, Pritam says he gets asked to pay for the guest post, so I've seen that too. I have heard some people just go for it, and it can work okay. Matt says he recommends Ninja Outreach. That's cool. I really like Ninja Outreach. I actually know one of the founders. He was in my mastermind group back in the day. So Dave Schneider, I actually got to meet him a couple times, which was cool. And Jonathan says, I want to hire a Philippines VA for outreach. What would you say the top 3 qualities I need to look for? Well, I would say don't necessarily limit yourself to the Philippines. Why not just, hire anyone in the world? I would say make sure that they could follow directions really, really, really well. So that's 2. And then the other quality would be to make sure that they're like punctual and on time. So, or at least like that's the wrong way to put it. I would want someone to be punctual and on time, but what I really mean is like thorough and following through with the stuff that they're supposed to do. But I would say don't limit yourself to the Philippines. You could hire someone from anywhere. I highly recommend to hire someone like that speaks the native language in the country. So if you're I'm just going to make an assumption you're trying to hire someone in the Philippines because you think it'll be cheaper. I hired a couple people based in the US. They were like graduate level college, like university educated people. And I was paying like $9 to $10 an hour, and they were like in the US, and I could call them on the phone and talk to them and talk through stuff. So don't limit yourself to the Philippines. And then Umar asks, if anyone wants to do a guest post on your site, who will you approve? What website owners think will be beneficial for their sites? Let's see. I don't know who I would approve. They would have to. See you, Matt. I see you're heading out. Have a good weekend, man. Thanks for joining. And then, Mayor, who would I let post? I wouldn't let I wouldn't let someone who has like a crappy site guest post on mine. It would need to be like a high quality site, and it would need to look like they care about what they're doing. So I'm not sure if I can like summarize it well, but I would just make sure they're a professional. I don't want to deal with people that are going to turn in garbage work, anything I have to edit, or if they're like completely self-serving. So if someone just sends me an email and asks me if I want to guest post, I'm just going to delete it. Like that's just what's going to happen. So, okay, cool. So Facebook, I am going to have to go in just a second. So if anyone's watching the replay, feel free to ask questions over there. I will come back to it. So thanks a lot for watching. And if people are just scrolling through, I'll show this again. I'm sure it won't be shown like here without folks watching. Okay, so I got a few more questions over here on the YouTube side. So David, the couple main things are, don't use a template without editing it. You need to go in there, put in your own words, change up the formatting, add sections, remove sections. But if you need to, sorry, my wife just texted me, so it screwed up my phone. I need to figure out how to not do that. I'm sorry. So basically, if you are using a template and you just send it as is, it's not going to be accepted as much because people are sending out so many of these templates. So that's one thing. The second is, let's see, what was the second thing? Oh, take longer to build the relationship. So just take longer to build the relationship and you'll have a better chance. In fact, most of the places that I try and guest post are going to be places that don't even accept guest posts typically. So, okay, so as we're going through here, what would the lowest DA and PA be that I would go for? I don't really pay attention to it. Just if it's relevant, I'll go for it. And DA and PA are kind of bad metrics sometimes. Like I use them often. They're the least generous of all metrics. But basically, if it's relevant, I'll go for it. If I'm trying to run a specific campaign, like for Project Go White Hat, I needed to look specifically to make sure I was like replacing some of the links that should be replaced. So that's something to consider as well. But part of that campaign, I just got whatever links that I needed to. Most of the existing, if you're not familiar with the story, by the way, just look up Project Go White Hat on Niche Site Project. You should be able to find, there's like 9 parts in the story. The site's for sale right now, by the way. So I will take a look at any more questions. And then Ilya said, thanks, by the way. So Ilya mentions there's a new article on Search Engine Journal in regards to guest posting. I didn't know that if it just came out today. I actually don't read that much on the news side of things. But yeah, I will take a look at that probably when we finish up here. So, okay, I think I answered all the questions. I have to get going, got to start the weekend. So everyone have a good weekend. I'm going to try to do these live sessions maybe at least 4 days next week. So unless there's technical difficulties, I'm going to try and do these sessions. So if you have ideas for the sessions next week, go ahead and type them in the chat or comment or whatever, and I'll check them out. And I'll hopefully, I need ideas, right? So you can let me know what you're interested in. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you later.